Swish and Perry forever. Morty, it's a Swish.
Morty, I love Swish. Yep.
I just put my headphones on. I have no idea what I'm listening to right now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this ASMR video. Today we're doing ASMR beer drinking.
God, I wish I had a beer.
What
the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know.
You know he hates ASMR, right?
Oh, do you actually?
I don't hate it. It just does nothing for me.
Gotcha.
Like,
Didn't we have this conversation once?
yeah, well, I mean, I hate it.
Maybe not recording.
Not while
but I'm
recording.
pretty sure we did. Oh,
we were
okay.
having a conversation about my wife's sister making me watch. She came over for dinner.
Oh,
And then
me and you had this conversation.
Yeah, she started making us watch all these ridiculous ASMR videos about, and they weren't even like most of the time it's just random sounds and videos of just random occurrences happening. These videos were specifically them cutting blocks of foam.
Oh,
Like, you know, the
actually sounds
green
really fun to
foam.
listen to.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause it would be all like chunky and
That's-
shit.
I mean, I guess
like-
if you're into that shit.
Well, it was really weird, but she's just sitting on the couch, just like writhing in pleasure. And I'm like, what is going on right now?
Oof.
And then that's
Awkward.
It just kept happening. She's like, oh, this one's actually really good. We've got to watch this other one.
Oh, no.
And then I'm like, we're like 5 videos deep. And I'm like, I've got to leave the house. I can't be a part of this.
I
don't-
just straight up leave.
I can't be here for whatever is going on.
It's funny, like, I'm not like a super huge fan of ASMR, and it doesn't always do something for me, but like, there are certain sounds, and I guess like that's the whole point of it, right? Is that there's like certain sounds and like things that actually do kind of like trigger the response that I guess that you're supposed to get. But for me, just having like pretty much the only reason I like it is just to have like the background noise, you know, and it's like it's something that's like quiet but good background noise and easy to fall asleep to.
I've done, as gay as it sounds, I've done some, what is it, binaural beats.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have an app for that, or I had an app for that. I don't think it might still be on my phone, but I went through it and it had a bunch of different presets for frequencies that would put you into different states. So I went through all the alpha states, and one of them I just kind of sat there and I'm like, after about 5 minutes, I'm like, I feel like I should be productive now.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know if that's placebo or what, because I tried doing it a couple of times, but I'm also weird about sounds too, because like, for instance, like hardcore heavy metal gets me like very relaxed versus like classical music.
Oh, interesting.
I really
wow.
like classical music.
Oh, yeah, we
but
talked.
it makes me like want to fucking Kool-Aid Man through the wall. Like, it gets me.
Oh yeah.
Which is the effect you should get from listening to metal.
Yeah, it's like backwards for you. That's funny.
All right. Because the whole point of this video was we were going to talk about the new Star Wars movie,
So
and now
we
we're
talked
down
about
a-
ASMR.
Now we're down an ASMR path. It's real fucking weird.
Before we do all that, let's all just take a moment to appreciate how hot the Night Sister is.
Dude, Marion is literally the best character in this game.
I know, right? And she never takes her clothes off. Spoiler.
A spoiler, Marion is actually a girl and doesn't take her clothes off.
I would not be surprised if someone has made porn for her, though.
I wouldn't either.
I would
With the
not
shit
be
that's out
surprised, and I would be very happy.
Kind of look that up now.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Pornhub in an incognito window. Here I come.
Ignore the grunting.
there. Wow.
She gets way hotter, and like at the end of
Yeah, because she takes her
This
hood
whole-
off and she's fucking
Yeah.
hot. So like in a couple seconds when we just hear grunting and from Matt, we know what's
why would
going
it
on.
sound
damn
like
it.
that? Like, what's
What the fuck was that sound?
That was my cheek. That was like the only thing that I had that was nearby that I could make that sound with.
that's the new fleshlight attachment. It has like a tongue that slaps your balls.
But the real question is, will it get in between your ball gauge, your ball sack gauge?
Oh,
God.
God. Why? I had that out of my mind, man.
You're welcome.
Out of it. It was out.
Back in there.
Yeah, it is.
Can you feel that in your brain?
I just got
was
like
it?
fucking
Are you
mind
feeling
fucked.
it? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
Oh, what was that movie with what is it with Jesus, what's his name? Oh
no.
Can you feel me fucking your brain? Do you feel me in your brain right now?
Oh,
Strike
God
the
damn
fairy
it.
wall.
Oh, get him to the Greek.
Get it? Yeah. That movie doesn't hold up well because I saw it recently and I was like, oh no. But the first time I watched that, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah. I had the same effect when I watched it because I was like, oh, this movie was so funny when I watched it, and then I watched it again a few months ago and I was like, I thought this movie was funny.
Dude,
Like,
it about killed me. I about went to the hospital the first time I watched it.
All right. So the fucking new Star Wars movie.
What about it?
Let's so I've already talked about this in a few episodes because I really liked it and none of you guys had seen it until now. So now we get to finally talk about it. And I don't want to do spoilers immediately, but so Chris, what did you think?
But spoilers are coming.
The spoilers are coming.
So my initial thoughts walking out of theater was basically three things. There was one thing that I really didn't like initially. Overall I liked the movie, but there was one specific story plot point that I didn't like. And I also felt overwhelmed at the amount of information they threw at you in this movie.
Okay.
Because I feel like they threw too much too fast in a couple parts. I feel like the pacing was not as refined as it could have been. But overall I really enjoyed the movie.
BD, stim here.
Gotcha. All right. So Mr. Vino, what did you think?
I guess if I have to make a coverall statement, it's after having watched the movie, I have to say that I have never in my life been so completely and totally wrong with my expectations going into a movie.
Okay.
What?
Because I really expected to dislike it.
That hit the spot.
What?
And after yeah. And I really
I'm actually. I started with Chris first because.
hold on. I really
Okay.
did.
Okay.
I expected to not enjoy the movie at all. And what actually happened was after having watched it, now I've started seeing a psychiatrist and a counselor because it literally made me want to kill myself. So much worse than anticipated.
So okay, so you were
Oh,
expecting
wow.
you were expecting to not like it, and you ended up just absolutely hating it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
I
what
knew that.
That's what I thought.
I knew that buildup would really start to get him because
Yeah,
he's
Joe
like,
was going to be really confused.
What?
I was like, what the fuck? I had this. I knew from your first when I was like, you watch it, and you're like, yeah, I watched it.
Well, you already knew how I felt about the other two, and
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we can get into spoilers now.
Okay, so spoiler alert for anybody who has not seen Star Wars Episode 9 yet and wants to see it without spoilers, stop watching the video.
this is your opportunity,
Yeah,
Master.
this is your time to
out.
leave.
Go listen to some ASMR.
Yeah, exactly.
Or look up porn with what's her name again?
Ah.
Marin.
Marin. Yeah, Marin porn.
Yeah,
Good
Marin
stuff.
porn.
It's out there. Find it. Send us links.
Yeah. Send us links.
What? Who said that?
It wasn't me.
Okay. So I guess we'll go to the first, right, like the beginning, the whole thing with Palpatine.
Okay.
How was
That's not even the begin. Like
I mean, that's pretty
Man,
much the beginning, isn't it?
it's
That's the beginning
it's
of the
the
movie. That's what
it's the beginning in the dumbest fucking way possible.
Okay.
Because do you know how previous to this movie? Do you know the only build up to Palpatine being in the movie prior to the first 5 seconds of the movie?
was
Says the trailers.
laugh in the trailers.
The fucking yeah, there's that, but then the only thing that where Palpatine like this message, right?
Uh-huh.
That the whole intro sequence where it rolls out and it's like in a galaxy far away and
Yeah,
yada
yeah.
yada, and then it's like the dead speak, a mysterious transmission's been heard with Palpatine's voice, and it's like the only time that's ever happened, the only thing that they did previous to this movie was like
Fortnite.
Yeah, fucking Fortnite live event.
Yep.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Yes.
That I
Oh, I
really
did not know
didn't
that.
like, but
Like, that's how unscripted this bullshit is. They're just like, oh man, we got to get the word, we got to do something. Fortnite live event, obviously. Like, that's the choice.
Wow.
Anyway, where are you going with this?
I just wanted to know how you felt about him even coming back, well, mainly the whole, because in that whole thing, when you first see Palpatine, you find out that he's been the puppet of Snoke and like all that other shit, like
other way around.
it kind of
Snoke was the puppet of Palpatine.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Or are you talking
that's
about
what I mean.
Kylo? Is Kylo was the puppet of? Yeah. Never
Well,
mind.
I'm basically like it kind of like gives you backstory on Snoke more or less, where you didn't have that before.
Right. Well, they kind of
That's kinda
like
where I was
glaze
going
over that too, because then they're just like,
They do.
here's like
They-
a million Snokes in a test tube for 3 seconds. Bye.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it is that whole thing. I'm every voice you ever heard in your
Right.
head.
Well, and that's
which
what
was
I'm
in one of the trailers, but
yeah, and that's what I was saying about like a lot of plot points that were revealed were just like very, very fast and just went by immediately, and it was just like, I honestly I wish that they had made. I don't want either 7 or 8 not exist and made 9 2 parts so that the pacing would have felt better, and then I probably would have been a lot more okay with this series.
well, that goes back
Because
to what
I
I
still
said
don't
weeks
give a fuck
ago.
about any of the other characters.
See,
yeah.
I didn't care about Rey and Finn until this movie.
How do you care about Finn more in
Well,
this movie?
to be fair, I probably still don't really care about Finn that much, but I do actually.
They didn't care
Rey
about
now.
Finn.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't even get their fucking mind straight about what his storyline was going to be. Halfway through the movie, he's all like, obviously I'm still in love with Rey and I'm going to like say something to
That's
her because
not
I'm
what-
about to
that's not
die.
what he was gonna
That's
say.
not what he was gonna say.
Yeah, allegedly, because J.J. Abrams randomly sends out a fucking tweet. Bullshit. That's the way it was written. That's what they intended.
I don't know, because he talks about the using the Force, or just talks about the Force a lot in this movie, a lot more than he did in the other movies, and I think that was part of it. And I probably to use him in something else later. I don't know, but so I mean, I kind of bought it, but at the same time, yeah, I guess you're right.
I didn't buy anything in this movie because
all?
they completely. Well, it's.
Did you even buy your ticket to get in?
It's universe breaking. Like, they've changed the rules. It's. I mean, I don't even know. It's fucking Chekhov's gun. 4, 5, and 6, they used it. 1, 2, and 3, they're like, I mean, we're doing stuff. And then these last 3 movies, it's like it's as if millennials decided to remake 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Like, let's just use the Star Wars universe and let's just make up some crazy ass bullshit and hope people are stupid enough to just pay money for it.
Makes sense.
It's annoying. That's what really upsets me about this last movie is that, like, you're talking about how do I feel about just Palpatine. You can't get into how you feel about Palpatine without going over.
I was bringing up Palpatine to go over like Snoke's whole thing in the beginning, but that was really the only reason I was bringing up Palpatine.
Well, Palpatine by himself as a character,
Or them just bringing back Palpatine.
them bringing him back, him being the main villain yet again, is lazy as hell.
Yeah, that was my first impression as well. I was not very excited about the fact that it's like, I feel like they could have done more, but I don't know.
Yeah. He's the villain. He's the main villain. Star Wars, they should have just named it Palpatine is the bad guy. Like, no matter what you do, you will not defeat the bad guy. It's Palpatine. He's still alive. He's going to come back.
Star Wars, The Emperor Strikes Back.
Yeah, forever. You can't.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. He is the bad guy in 1, 2, and 3, and then he's the bad guy in 4, 5, and 6. Now he's the bad guy in these last 3. It doesn't make. It's like, what are you doing? Anyway, but I mean, what are we into? Necromancy now? There's no consequences for anything. There's no consequences. Everybody just gets brought back to life. We can heal people and we can do whatever the fuck we want, even though that's been outlined multiple times in the first 6 movies that's supposed to be something that's like, it's not, it's frowned upon by the light side. That's
Yeah.
something that only the best of the dark side users have ever been able to do. And there's only one guy that even Palpatine can point to because he used it to dangle a carrot in front of Vader.
No, Palpatine knew that as well. He had learned that power as well.
When does he say that?
He doesn't. He doesn't. But if there's like, it's probably Legends lore now because Disney came in and made so many things not canon. But oh fuck off.
Fuck off.
But no, Palpatine does. He did learn. Like that was his whole thing. Before he killed Plagueis, he wanted to learn how to use all of Plagueis's powers, like all of Plagueis's abilities that he had before he killed Plagueis. Oh yeah, I love this auto lock. This is great. Ah, thank you, game. It's so nice when I press lock on and you never fucking lock on to anything. I love this game.
This game is the best, first of all. So
it's beautifully broken.
See, I mean,
But no. Like Palpatine decided not to kill Plagueis until he knew how to also manipulate the Force the same way Plagueis did. He just never shared any of those secrets with Vader.
But that's apparently that could, or you don't know for sure, but it could be Legends lore.
Yeah.
Wow.
That made sense. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if any of it is canon. But I know that was explored in Legends lore for Palpatine's backstory and stuff.
okay, but was it actually gone over? Like, so now we're getting into
It's like
read
in books and novels and stuff. Yeah, it's not in any of the movies.
And how many Star Wars books are there? Like a bazillion?
Yeah, there's
Oh
a
my
lot.
god.
So we've got to get into all this and then decipher and determine which ones they actually used in the storyline because they're not going to tell us in their storyline.
Disney did put out a list of what is canon and what's Legends lore.
Sierra called them force wielders.
All right, well, to read that list, I'd have to give a shit, first of all,
Yeah.
Wait, do you?
because 7, 8, and 9 are just like, here's your childhood, and fuck that. Just fuck your childhood. Just
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Don't find out.
See, my opinion, 9 was the better of the 3.
yeah.
But
No, 9
oh
is
my god.
See, I'm with Joe on this one. I thought 9 was the best of all three of them.
I mean, they all suck, and not equally, but I definitely don't think that this is the one that sucks the least.
Really?
Yeah, really. Because
I don't
this
know, I
was
had
the
too many issues
laziest
with-
of all of them. And then they try to backtrack on so many things, like Luke showing up, like trying to get the lightsaber, catching the lightsaber when she throws it away and shit. It's like, man, y'all are just fucking around now. Like,
Yeah, I was a little. I mean, I figured that's where he or somebody would show up, but I
actually, so this is dumb because like I know I've complained about this before, like the amount of fan service that they've done in these movies. But however, I noticed after watching episode 9 that the only thing that I cared about in the first 2 movies was the fan service. But
and it was annoying in this last one, wasn't it? Like Chewie getting his medal and shit. Like, we just had to do a whole montage of fan service.
oh yeah.
some of it was, but I honestly, there was like one thing that I really, really had wished would have happened in this movie that didn't, which was that Rey got to see Yoda, but she only ever gets to hear his voice. I for some reason I was really hoping that like when it was like Luke that caught the lightsaber, I was really hoping it would be Yoda instead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had to throw Luke in there somehow.
Or I was really hoping that like, so that, you know, the scene where like Luke's like pulling the X-wing out of the when he's pulling the X-wing out of the water, I was really hoping that he would be like pretending to pull the X-wing out, and then it would pan over and it was actually Yoda pulling it out again, just like it had been in the, you know, in episode 6. But
Think we're getting close to a village.
or no, that was at the end of episode 5. Never mind. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, so I had a whole
yes,
thought
this is
that I
great.
wanted to go on, and then I fucking lost
Yay!
it.
I love
a
getting
whole
stuck
thought?
in a corner where I
Yeah,
can't
a
fucking
whole,
move.
like a whole one. Just about Rey and it being a Palpatine, but
I
there
was
more
really upset
to
with that at first, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, I'm okay with this.
I'm not okay with it
Why?
because they had it all ironed out. They had it all ironed out, and then they even doubled down on it in the movie. in the last movie, they still doubled down on that. Oh, well, your parents were nobody nonsense, but your grandparents were. So we're just fucking stupid, and that your grandparent is Palpatine.
Well,
But
this is something somebody pointed out when they were trying to figure out who Rey's parents really were, and this actually came out. This video came out after The Last Jedi, which was so everybody's parent or everybody in the movies generally has some sort of like theme song or like some song that plays.
Yeah,
and Rey's
yeah.
since the very first movie has always been similar to Palpatine's, like very similar, like 2 notes off, and the melody is just a little sped up.
Hers is just like a little bit less. Or
It's
hers
like
is
it's
more
the same exact notes except add 2 notes and
Yeah, hers is like a little bit
speed
more
it up.
complex than Palpatine's, and the end of it is like ends more on like a major flourish than a minor flourish.
Exactly. That's something that they did since the very first movie, or the very first, Force Awakens.
Well, see, then that confuses me even more because if all of this has been planned out, how in the hell did they manage to present it this way?
So this was where I was going to go with this, which is what the one part of this that actually upset me was when Luke said when she asked Luke if like he knew and Leia knew and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, and Leia knew and yada yada yada, and they're like, yeah, but like he asked her in the first movie, like, who are you? Like, who are you really?
I don't think but when he was asking her that,
he might not have known then.
I don't think he didn't.
But
I don't think he knew until the one point where, when that one part where he's like, you went straight to the dark side of the Force and you didn't even try to resist it. I think that's when he knew.
Okay, but all that Luke keeping it to himself and Leia keeping it to himself, that part doesn't make any sense either, considering how much of a big deal it was that Luke's own father had been kept a secret from him.
Yeah, but the whole reason,
and it got his hand cut off.
But so Obi-Wan knew who Luke's father was, but never told him.
Uh-huh.
And why did
so
he do that?
He just decided
but
to
why
fuck
did he
around
do
with
that?
her too?
No, but why Obi-Wan did that because he thought he was protecting Luke. So Luke probably did the exact same thing with Rey.
But Luke now has an intimate knowledge of how that did not actually
it
protect.
did not. Yeah.
He is now less. He's going to the secondhand store at this point because he wasn't told that. So I don't. And he was not happy. He actually gets very angry with him at one point in the movies, asking him why I never told him that.
Also, in case you guys were wondering, this is the best way to kill this guy because he doesn't consume your force because it thinks you're pushing a box and you kill that thing.
Oh, nice.
Cheating.
Totally. I'm not gonna fight those
little
fucking
cheater.
things. They're like the most annoying enemies in this game, actually. Because literally
way,
after you kill them,
sure.
they're just like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna fuck you. Ha 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 ha.
Oh yeah, Dad.
Either way, a lot of this is really just kind of like little nitpicky stuff. But
See,
my
the reason I was okay with Rey being I was not okay with Rey being a Palpatine at first. Like when I first saw the movie, I was like, that's fucking stupid. Why is she a Palpatine? Then I thought about it, and I was like, okay. The whole reason all of this started was because of Vader and Palpatine, which is a Skywalker and a Palpatine, and it ends with a Skywalker and a Palpatine. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of okay with this now, because it brings everything full circle, starting and ending with the same bloodline. Just it's the grandson and granddaughter of the same characters.
Would you have been more or less okay with it had Palpatine not been the final boss?
If it had been somebody other than Palpatine, yeah, it would have been cool. But like, who else would they have brought in? Really though, like
Make somebody up.
Vader?
I mean,
like
that
make
would-
somebody
Yeah,
up.
I
or,
mean
like,
that's literally what they've been doing with Star Wars since you just like decided to
Yeet yourself up there.
just gonna. I've decided to die now.
We've discussed this. I'm not very good at platforming. I have I have terrible depth perception with video games.
Death perception.
Yeah, that
Deaf.
too.
You super deaf.
Super deaf.
Fucking.
You're
You're 2-ply, bud.
I have 10-ply. I have a really bad time with depth perception in video games. That's why I'm so bad at platformers. Like,
You're the Pepto-Bismol upset of the week, bud.
Yeah. Oh. I've not heard that.
that one was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I don't know. For the most part, though,
Oh,
like all the
this
stuff that they did
guy.
for me, I mean, I enjoyed the fan service. but
yeah, no, I
you
actually,
would.
I really enjoyed this
would,
one a lot.
I would.
But
Yeah.
I
But,
enjoyed
I
this
mean,
movie
I
a
don't
lot.
know.
I didn't really care for the first, couple of this trilogy, but this one I was pretty okay with.
I mean, I agree with him with the whole that everything coming full circle. I mean, it just made sense. It's in a way. Ooh, excuse me. That's because that's kind of what I read before that J.J. Abrams was kind of sticking to what George Lucas was going to do. But you think about it, and George Lucas really fucked up the prequels, so why trust him?
No, he didn't. Like he wrote.
He didn't really, but
He wrote the story, but he didn't write the goddamn script. The people who wrote the
Yeah.
script are the people who fucked up the prequels.
That's very
There's
true.
still better storytelling in the first 3 movies. That's my really, if you want to get down
That
to
is true.
So what I think Disney did wrong with these 3 movies is that they didn't follow what George Lucas had already written for. Oh hey, that's the punch I like.
Well, probably because there's a lot of downtime in George Lucas movies. There's a lot of but the downtime is filled with monologue.
It's exposition.
And
There's the downtime.
exactly,
is exposition.
and you don't have that a whole lot of that in these 3 movies, almost at all. I
There's
think.
not really downtime though. That's not correct.
That was that was why this one was annoying, was because there was literally no downtime in episode 9.
There's
It's tempo. It's good storytelling. That's exactly what it is. It's not downtime. It seems to be downtime, but then you think about, there hasn't really been a lot. Like it's been kind of slow.
Yeah, but that's what I meant when I said downtime and then monologue and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
But
storytelling.
all of that is necessary.
Exactly.
They place a gun in the room, and in the next scene, they fucking use it.
Yeah.
In these last 3 movies, they just keep putting guns in rooms, and nobody fucking shoots the shit.
Yeah, that's kind of the point I was getting at.
If you want to get away from nitpicky stuff where it's like, I don't like this because it's lazy and this specific thing doesn't make sense because it changes the whole universe and the way things are supposed to fucking work. Like, we can get away from that entirely and just go with, y'all suck at story writing, and this is not how you tell a story. It's hard to follow, and nobody, you should have been, if this was Star Wars the way it's been Star Wars, the way that people who like Star Wars have always enjoyed Star Wars being, then it would have been like a major storyline that would have slowly unfolded over the 3 movies. And by the time you got to this one, you would have been like, oh, that shit makes sense.
Well,
instead, you're like, what? What's this? What's that? What's this other thing? How does that work? Oh, you're not going to answer those questions that you just asked? Okay, cool. Just moving on again. Here's some more information that it's completely unnecessary because we're fucking millennial retards that don't know how to tell a goddamn story. Like, it's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, for this, I said this before because I didn't mind Force Awakens. There was only one real issue I had. I would have liked it better because I feel like this entire movie, it was JJ.
It was JJ
trying to put
Abrams letting all his friends have cameos and just saying random shit every 2 seconds.
That's the thing.
Yeah. That was one of the things that annoyed me the most. But
yeah, well, and Kevin Smith was in it. And I couldn't find out where he was at until a thing was posted because he doesn't say anything. He's just in the background as something else. I didn't even see him. Even the second time.
Yeah, he's
I
in
watched
costume, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in costume. You don't even know it's him.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that he was in it. But what was it? No, it felt like for this movie, J.J. Abrams was just kind of filling in a bunch of voids that could have been filled in the second one, but Rian Johnson wasn't doing what JJ wanted. Like, JJ read Ryan's script and was like, okay, this doesn't mess up my story that I'm going to end up telling at the end. However, you're not gonna also answer any of the questions that need to be answered in this movie. So I'm going to have to fill everything in for fucking ever.
I think that was my problem was obviously in the original trilogy, episode 4 is who's Luke's father, and then you're like, oh, it's Anakin Skywalker, and then in episode 5 it's revealed that, oh, by the way, Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. So then you're like, oh shit, okay, that's the big reveal for Luke, and then other things are revealed that's oh, by the way, Leia is Luke's. Yeah, right. And then it's oh, by the way, Leia is Luke's sister. And then you're like, oh shit, all these things, oh yeah, that's right. you're like, oh shit, all
storytelling.
these things kind of like make sense. But it's like, and then there's other things that are revealed in episode 6, but it's like they kind of like revealed a couple of the big plots in episode 5, and then the other ones came in episode 6 later. In this one, it was like episode 7 reveals things that you're like, okay, I want to know the answers to these. And then episode 8 comes out and goes, I'm going to answer none of your questions. And then episode 9 comes out and says, okay, I have to answer every single one of these. And it just feels rushed as fuck.
And that's going back to like what I was saying before, where I really feel like JJ, they should have just let JJ direct all 3 of them.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
If they would have done that, I feel like we would have ended up having a better second movie and then a much better third movie. Like, and I was actually kind of a fan of The Last Jedi, but I'm less of a fan of it now, seeing how it all plays out.
It's
Like,
funny.
I like Last Jedi more than I like Force Awakens, but now I don't like Last Jedi as much, and I like Force Awakens better, and I like this movie a lot better.
Yeah.
But I feel like this movie is only the way it is because of The Last Jedi, which is the reason why it's now my least favorite of the 3, where before it was kind of my favorite.
Right.
That
So-
upsets me so much. And by the way, we're just talking over this epic boss battle. It's like one of the only ones in the game, and this one's actually pretty cool. Is he about to grab you?
I didn't really care about this one too much, but it was okay.
I fucking hated this thing.
I thought it was pretty cool.
I died so many times.
I only,
Speaking of dying,
I only died once to this.
how many people in what is it, Rise of Skywalker? How many people die in that movie but don't die?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? I mean, how many times do we fake out?
Oh, yeah, like, okay, yeah.
Chewie's dead,
Yeah,
but he's
Chewie's
not
dead.
dead
He's
because
not
he wasn't
dead.
on that
Okay.
transport, because there's
Yeah.
another transport that was like right next to
Yeah,
it that you didn't see, apparently, that takes off. Yeah, she could have killed, like, that would have made sense with the whole, like, dark gray storyline. Nope, we couldn't even do that because
Fuck
that would have hurt
you.
your feelings, I guess.
Yeah, I was upset that Chewie died at first. I was like, oh, God.
But
They
it
did.
moves the storyline.
But it does.
Makes
It
sense.
does. And I was upset for like a solid minute and a half. And then when I found that he was still alive, I wasn't even relieved. I was just like, oh, wow, you just really did that, didn't you?
What the shit?
I wasn't even relieved that he was still alive. I was just like, really? That they just did that? They just killed him and then brought him back? Like,
That's one of the other things too that kind of gets me about this, is it just seems very PC girl power nonsense. Like, oh no, she can't ever be corrupted because women are stronger, and that, you know, this would never happen. She would always beat the dark
you're
side.
going to go there?
Why would I
So-
not go there?
Here's the
I mean, you're
thing,
not wrong, so.
Do you not... You,
Because they just gave her the easy outs for everything. There was no suspense. There was no... You're never concerned. Like, okay, this is Scooby-Doo. She's going to be fine. It's all going to work
No,
out.
there was definitely a moment where I felt like she was going to turn for a second. Also,
Wow.
you probably don't know what yellow lightsabers mean, do you?
Yeah, that they're, what, knowledge seekers or...
They're Jedi Sentinels, but Jedi Sentinels were the ones that turned to the dark side the most out of any other Jedi. So there, I feel like there's good significance in giving her a yellow lightsaber at the end of this movie. Plus, she was supposed to have. Oops, she was supposed to have one anyway because the character that she's basically replaced for this trilogy, for what George Lucas wrote.
They're not
originally-
the only ones that had yellow lightsabers.
Yeah, Sentinels were.
They're the ones that predominantly and exclusively always have yellow lightsabers.
The only other person that we see in Star Wars that gets a yellow lightsaber is.
Yeah, well, we're
Asajj.
talking about book lore and shit like that. So if that's part of the story, well then,
Well,
I mean, they're not
we
the
don't
only
see
ones that
anybody in
have
the
yellow
main series that
lightsabers.
has a yellow lightsaber. Then, if that's what you want to stick
there's
to.
people in the Clone Wars.
No, there's like.
Oh, you already said that there's a whole list of books.
Yeah, there is.
I don't know if
but,
this
like,
is on this, but they exclusively have yellow lightsabers. They're not the only people
George
with
Lucas.
lightsabers.
George Lucas himself said that the only people who are allowed to have the only Jedi who are allowed to have yellow lightsabers are Jedi Sentinels or Temple Guardians.
Well, how does that work? Since it's also, I'm assuming, still canon, that you would go and the actual crystal, the kyber crystal, chooses you.
It's not a kyber crystal. It's a different kind of crystal.
Okay.
That's why it makes it yellow apparently. But
That actually reminds me of
This
something else.
conversation's over my head a little bit, so I'm not gonna get involved.
No, I mean I looked all this. I've gone through this at one point, and I'm struggling now to remember certain things. But that does remind me of something to segue just a bit. The ships at the end.
what,
Yeah.
You remember why we had all these issues with the Death Star and why it was such a big deal that they had the one with the planet killer? Because they had to
and-
mine all these kyber crystals.
yeah.
So he just conjures these out of his asshole to put in all these ships that he's got.
Yeah.
Wasn't the one the Sith uses? They were synthetic kyber crystals, though, weren't they? They weren't real kyber crystals.
Yeah, the Sith create them. They're not actually. Well,
No, because they
there's two
put
different ways.
bases.
There's two different ways. So there were, which this is what's kind of annoying about the red lightsaber. So some of them are synthetic, and it's the Sith Lord makes them themselves. And some of them are actual kyber crystals that the Sith actually, because apparently the kyber
They've
crystals
been
are like,
bled.
yeah, they're like living beings. So the Sith actually causes the crystal to bleed, and that's what makes it red.
And that's how you get the white
That's a
lightsaber,
way
is by
cool story.
By
turning
purifying
a blade.
a
Yeah.
bled blade, yeah. So it has to be a very strong light force user that can turn a red lightsaber back to a purified crystal, and then it's just a white lightsaber.
Huh. Okay. So let's go towards the end of the movie because I kind of want to talk about that, and we've touched on like a lot of stuff.
Can y'all? Because I want to go back and actually rewatch the end because I don't get this. It's something that just like completely blew past me. At this point, I was barely paying attention, and it kind of upsets me that they couldn't hold my attention by the time we got to like the final fight. But explain this to me because this I didn't get grasp for some reason. How come we can kill Palpatine, but we can't kill him when he's gonna let her kill him?
So
Because
if she
he's
strikes
like,
him down, and if she
strikes him down in anger, then
why would it be?
that's
an
not
anger?
that's not even what he wanted to
That's
do. Though.
literally
He didn't
what
want
the
her
fuck-
to do.
Well,
He
because
just wanted to kill
he
him.
was willingly letting her kill him, I believe, was the whole point.
Yeah. So what's the problem with that?
Because after he drained both of them, he didn't need her anymore.
Right. Well, and it's also like,
So he wasn't willingly gonna let her kill him.
yeah. 'cause
So
he-
it's a problem if he's not gonna let her kill him. That's when we have to kill him.
Well, I think part of it would have been so like.
But she also wasn't accepting it either.
Yeah.
She wasn't accepting what? That's what the fuck she went there for.
She wasn't accepting he wanted her to kill him and then accept his spirit into her with all of his power and knowledge and all that stuff like that. So basically what she was saying is, I'll kill you, but I'm not going to do that. So you're not going to live in me and live through me. I'm just going to straight kill you.
But she didn't say that.
No.
Yes, uncommunicated.
Okay, so
In a
we're
way.
just supposed to.
In a way, she didn't say that.
Okay, because it seemed a lot like she's going there and she's on this epic voyage to get to this planet so that she can kill him, and then he's like, "That's cool, you can kill me, but I want you to take over." And she's like, "Well, I'm not going to kill you now, but I am going to kill you." It doesn't make any fucking sense because that's when she just completely backs down and
Well,
everything goes to hell.
I think it's like Joe was saying. It was like initially like if she had killed him, like just like struck him down or whatever, and then accepted his spirit, then versus killing him.
But she didn't
after.
have to accept his spirit. That's what I'm confused about.
I think he.
She
he
decided
would've-
not to kill him until he became more powerful to the point where, because before it was like, well, I'm just not going to kill you. You're weak as fuck right now. Like what? It's not going
Because
to matter.
it's
And then he
Scooby-Doo
became more-
or it's
and then he bec-
Superman.
Yeah, and then he became more powerful. Then it was like, well, now I have to kill him.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have to kill him before?
I mean, not really. He was weak as fuck. He was being toted around by a machine.
Okay.
I mean, there's gonna be plot holes, no matter how you look
Like
at
you
it.
just, you're pulling out as much shit out of your ass as they did. So,
Okay, it's not letting me find
like, she went there to kill him, but didn't have to kill him because he weak, but he wasn't so weak that he
okay,
couldn't.
thanks, game. That's really cool.
He wasn't so weak.
She
that he
wanted to kill.
couldn't-
She wanted to kill him when she went up there. She wanted to end him. But
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But didn't she still have to, even if he was weak? Because even having been weak, he was still doing all these other things, like having a giant fleet that was going to just go blow up planets and shit. So how does him being weak factor in at all? Just making shit up at this point. That's what I'm saying.
I fucking hate you right now.
I mean, I didn't understand the whole thing. I'm just watching like, did I miss something? Was there dialogue that was mumbled that I didn't catch? Because this doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, this is Superman Scooby-Doo shit. Like, you know, I'm the good guy, so I have to do all this, you know, this specific way. But what we want to do is make it so that I almost die, even though I'm invincible and I'm not going to die. But we want to make it look that way, so we stretch this out and create a little bit more suspense for just no reason at all. Like, that's kind of the way it played out for me. Because I'm like, this makes no sense. Unless I missed something.
See, but you're trying to apply logic to a Star Wars movie.
Here we go again.
Where you could have to like the first 4, because logically they all worked. Like, there was rules. And then you went back to the first 3, and a couple of them get bended and expanded a little bit. And these last 3, they get completely broken.
I think the biggest thing was like there was a lot of things that George Lucas wanted to do with certain aspects of the story that he wrote, and yeah, I love this part of the game so much.
I did this a lot when I was playing this part.
Yep, this part is so fucking stupid.
I got it the first time. Yeah, he got it.
The second time.
But I think there were like a lot of things that George Lucas really wanted to do with the story that when he kind of presented them were not either not well accepted or recepted, or just didn't really go over as well in the movie as he was hoping that they would. Mainly midichlorians, because that's a huge fucking part of how the Force works. But guess how many movies we talk about it in all 9? 1. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Yeah, they seriously underestimated how much the geek out factor was going to really work out in their success overall.
Yeah.
Okay, I trust you.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, overall, there were a couple things that I wasn't okay with. The more I've thought about it, the more I'm okay with them. Because, like, here's the thing. No matter what we do, this is the end of, like, that is the end of the main Star Wars storyline that we're gonna have, right? So, like, it doesn't matter what I say or think about it, that's what it is. So, I've basically decided at this point, like, yeah, there's, like, if I wanted to, I could go through and nitpick things like you are, and just be like, ah, shit, like, all of this was stupid, everything was pointless, blah, 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 whatever. But I've basically just decided that it's like, you know what? This is like, this is a series that
go through the entire 9 movies.
We could go through every single, like, you could go through 4, 5, and 6 and do the same
exactly,
thing.
because
but
of
like,
what they did in 1, 2, and 3, you could go through 4, 5, and 6 and just ruin those 3.
But my thing is basically just like now at this point, I'm like, you know what? This is the series, the conclusion of basically a series that I've been watching my entire life and been growing up with, and no matter what I do, this is the ending that I got. So I might not be happy with every single aspect of it. However, overall, I did feel like it was pretty okay.
This is why I wanted to get to the end, because that, I mean, what Vino brought up is, I mean, it's actually, I didn't think of it that way. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. However, when you're watching it, like, I don't know, I didn't see it the same way. Like, I saw it is kind of like what I said, where she went there, she wanted to kill him. He lays out his plan, then she realizes killing him is what he wants, doesn't want to do it. He becomes more powerful, then she has to do it. I mean, it's stupid, but in a weird, fucking dumb way, it makes sense. In a Scooby-Doo way.
On the one hand, I want to go with, you know, it's completely fine for you to have, like, I'm glad that you enjoyed the movie and that you don't experience movies this way. Although on the other hand, I'm slightly offended that it's apparently not okay for me to watch this and just be completely offended.
Oh, it's okay.
Apparently it's not, according to what he just said, because apparently this is the end that I got, so I just need to deal with it. And the way I'm dealing with it is by saying that they suck at storytelling. They don't know how to do what they were trying to do. And for me, these movies do not exist. They're not part of this. It was 4, 5, and 6, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not If that's the way you see it, I mean that's completely fine by me.
I'm in a different realm because I actually really enjoy episodes 1, 2, and 3, but
I mean, they were fine, but they're not special. They're not. They're not exceptional. Wow.
That makes sense. Okay, cool.
They're not exceptional in any way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I brought back up like 4, 5, and 6. I mean, 4, 5, and 6, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6 that George Lucas did, and I brought back up, his storytelling, even when that downtime, that storytelling, and how necessary that is, even if it feels boring. Like, it's fucking necessary, and you just do not have that in these 3 movies.
Yeah. I mean, they
try to keep the action going. They try to keep, the story moving along in a way that doesn't really help the story at all. It hurts.
4, 5, and 6. A lot of that shit, if you were to cut it out, you'd be having the same problems that we're having now.
Exactly.
Because how does this work? Why did this happen this way? What's going on with this person? Why did they say this thing that never then that question gets brought up, it never gets answered? Like, it's poor storytelling. It's poor writing.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're making billions of dollars off this. I don't understand how it's not offensive to you and how you can't help but at the very least be slightly disappointed when you got to experience the story writing of 4, 5, and 6 and expected to have that in these last 3 movies. What you did get was...
I didn't expect it. You're never going to be able to do as well as 4, 5, and 6 were. I was never expecting them. I was never expecting them to do well.
Yeah.
You still have the core, though. The story writing should still be there because the story writing was already there.
Yeah, the story writing's not done here because guess who they decided to not include in the project this time?
Yeah. So, but you've got 1, 2, and 3 where the story writing, I feel like the way it comes across and it's actually done, I didn't enjoy as much as 4, 5, and 6. But like 1 for pod racing and shit like that, I mean, you got the sci-fi stuff that you really didn't get to enjoy in 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. And then that's what I'm saying is I don't understand how you can't help but be kind of disappointed because you expected the story to still be there, but you expected to have J.J. Abrams and today's fucking sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like, you wanted to have those special effects.
But they're going back to, like, the older models.
I mean, I'm a fan of J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, like, but then you didn't get any of that shit.
But you didn't, yeah.
It's like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not disappointed. Like, I'm definitely disappointed. I mean, and I don't know if I necessarily speak for Chris, but I'm definitely disappointed, and I think that, like, I'm just kind of accepting it. This is the life. This is the fucking world we live in. This is the shit
you have to accept it.
I know, yeah.
But you can't not accept it.
I think that's what Chris's point is.
That's what I was saying, but apparently that makes me offensive.
That's kind of what I was getting at where I was going.
The way you said it was that I needed.
Oh no, I'm not saying anything about you. I was just saying about me personally. That's the conclusion I've come to.
Yeah, well, I'm not just gonna roll over and let them take my money and be like, "Oh, we fucking gave you some dog shit."
Bitch, you didn't even pay for that one.
Like, fucking say that all over the internet. I'm glad I didn't. They can suck my dick.
They don't know how you saw it. They don't even know how. You didn't pay for it.
What the fuck ever. Everyone knows how. And I'm not even bad. See, that's what really fucking sucks about it is I'm not even upset at the shitty quality that I had to endure because it didn't matter. At the end of the day, I was so confused by the fucking storyline. The special effects wouldn't have made a bit of fucking difference to me. It was like, ooh, pretty lights. What the fuck is going on? Yeah. Like, here's this thing, here's this thing, here's this thing. There's no tempo regulation. It's like, I don't know, man.
That was something I noticed going back because before I watched, and because that was something I really wanted to bring up before. But I always thought about it, never did it. Exactly, because I went back before this movie came out. I went back and watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 7 and 8. And when I got to 7 and 8, that was one of the things I noticed was majorly missing. It was a little bit there in 7. Like I felt like JJ did a pretty good job in 7.
Yo, do you guys like
and that, Yeah. I feel like J.J. Abrams in 7 did try to do a pretty good job with pacing and storytelling, like George Lucas did in the first 6 movies.
Pretty sure that's who he is.
But that's why I feel like they should have kept him, because I feel like if they would have kept him in 7, he wouldn't have had to tell so much story in 9 that it felt like there was nothing. There was no. I felt like it was you just rushed you through the movie. If they'd have kept him in 7 and let him continue the story, or I'm sorry, in 8, they kept him in 8 and let him continue the story that he was telling in 7, the way he was telling it, 9 would have been a much better movie.
You just reminded me of what really the moment when I just completely gave up on this movie, because I don't know why, but it hadn't occurred to me until now. But now, because you were talking about the ending and everything,
Yeah.
we're talking about the villain and what they could have done. But what they could have done is what they were doing. And that this whole time for 7 and 8, they had been setting up Kylo Ren as the main bad guy. Like 4, 5, and 6, it's fucking Palpatine's behind Vader, but Vader's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then 1, 2, and 3, Palpatine's revealed as the bad guy. But you have little, mini bosses throughout. And then in this, it's Kylo Ren the whole time and his struggle with light and dark. Like, he didn't want to kill his mom, but he eventually did finally kill his dad. And then all it takes, because I thought, okay, well, Palpatine's in this, but Kylo Ren's still going to end up being the bad guy, because about halfway through the movie, Palpatine's doing to him what he wanted to do to Vader, and then he's trying to pull like a Vader and double cross him, which Palpatine kind of had to know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he had already done it to Vader. He just didn't quite say like, oh, I can only have one apprentice, turn Luke and he'll replace you essentially. And then this same thing, fucking turn her, and obviously she has to replace you, or me. So one of us is out. Like, that's the way it goes. So he had to have known that he was going to be double crossed, because this is the way it was all kind of played out.
This is the way.
Anyway, the way that they had set it up, I still thought at the end Kylo Ren was going to be the main bad guy. Like, he was going to be like one of the big bosses. And nope, Leia just shows up and just says his name, and he's like, oh, I'm a good guy now. Let's go stop evil. Like, what the? I mean, none of this shit made any fucking sense to me. And that was the moment when I'm like, that's what it took. That's all it was. Okay. Yeah. Now he's a good guy. Are we sure he's a good guy? Are we going to get another twist here?
Almost dying.
Yeah. I mean,
there is that part, but I totally get what you're saying.
Dude,
well, okay, so
even at this point though, does it fucking matter? Because your master can apparently just come back from the fucking dead, and so can everyone else. So why does it matter that you died? It's not that big of a deal. Like, oh, she brought me back to life. Literally anyone can do that, bitch. Like, that's the way it works now. You didn't know that? Like, he could have just been healing himself. He was just like, I'm gonna take a vacation and go to the netherworld for a while. Then I'll come back and I'll be more powerful, and I'll have 50 Sith Lords in my person, apparently, or some shit. Like, I don't know, man. It just, it doesn't make sense. And that was the moment that really pissed me off.
What upset me was that they're Kylo and Rey are more powerful together, yet it takes Rey can defeat Palpatine on her own.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that hasn't made sense like the entire fucking time.
Yeah, that's what upset some people, and even upset me, was that he knocks Kylo down this fucking hole. Kylo climbs out of the hole, but meanwhile Rey just beats Palpatine on her own.
Yeah, but if they had decided to write it that way, Rey could have died, dropped her lightsaber. Finn would have just randomly been there because one of his planes would have crashed. He would have picked up her lightsaber, and it would immediately just be like, oh, you're my dude now, bro. Like, you know how to use me. Like, so let's just go kill Palpatine, because you could do that. Everybody can use a lightsaber in this universe now. So, but the thing is you never know. It might just bruise him, or it might chop his lower half off. You never know. And then that might not even matter, because, he already got, chopped up and thrown down a reactor shaft, and then the thing that he was in when he exploded in the reactor shaft then got blown up but he's still not dead. So,
Use the maintenance halls. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, what about you?
it's whatever, man.
Don't even need to really even talk about the ending because the whole fucking movie.
It's a fucking train wreck, bro.
Find you on the way.
It's a mess.
Do you understand?
That's faster.
Well,
Fucking
I think the
Pepto-Bismol
only thing,
upset of the week.
I will seal the blast.
the only thing for me that would have made the ending, that I think they should have done with the very, very end was when you see Luke and Leia's Force Ghost. I think it would have been better
Go.
because of the name that she says that she's a Skywalker, as if Kylo was there or Ben Solo was there.
Stop.
I don't think it should have just been Luke and Leia. I think it should have been all three of them because they're all a family.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. I was mildly okay with it.
Need to pull that to get through.
I'm gonna have to watch this fucking movie again. Thanks to you, man.
Thanks.
Doesn't make any sense.
Man, there's just so I don't know. And what about the Knights of Ren?
I wish they had a bigger role.
Everybody wishes they had a bigger role throughout the entire thing.
Like,
Then they finally bring him in, and then I still wish they would have had a bigger role.
Yeah, because that's how like Snoke in like in the first movie, Snoke is like, leader of the Knights of Ren or like whatever, and then it's just like, oh, okay, cool, we finally get to see them, and they're there for 2 seconds, and I died. All right.
What the shit?
What were you going, bro?
I don't know.
I'm going backwards now.
Yeah.
Not much further after that.
No, they mattered as much to the story as Snoke did. Just like, here's this info, doesn't matter. Moving on.
That was what Phasma? How they just
Yeah,
that
they're
was
just like, oh,
one
she's
thing that
dead,
JJ
cool.
said about Ryan Johnson's script, or what is it, Ryan?
Fuck
Yeah.
you.
That he wishes he didn't kill off Phasma.
Yeah,
That
I
he
was
felt
actually
like she could have had a bigger part.
Yeah, I was very curious to know who Phasma was, and then it's just like, oh, and she's dead, and I was like, okay, cool.
See, but that still goes back to more of like when I first saw The Last Jedi, I was a big fan. But then going back and watching all the movies together, I realized that movie sucks ass because of the storytelling and the lack of real storytelling.
Yeah,
Because it's like what you said with 4, 5, and 6. You have the first movie. You have all these questions. It's a good movie, but you get a real big kick in the dick in the second movie when you find out Vader is his father. Yeah, ish.
No, because they were trying to be Marvel in that first movie. That really got me.
No, I meant I was talking about 4.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. So yeah, and 4, you get it's a good movie. You have a lot of questions. I mean, they did the same thing in 4, but then in 5, you get the kick in the dick when you find out Vader's Luke's father. Cool. Basically just rehashing what Chris said earlier, and then later on you find out even bigger kick in the not really kick in the dick, but you find out that Leia and Luke are related, and then you think back on that kiss, and you're like, wow, what a weird family. But
Incest.
yeah, right. So
That's
it's
hot,
just,
bro.
Yeah. So-
People. That's how they get the southern states in on it. They're just like, this is our type of movie.
We're gonna put this in for all the Alabama guys.
Alabama 100.
NASCAR, wrestling, football, incest. Mm.
We like Star Wars. We especially like the part where Luke kisses Leia. But yeah, I don't know, man. Ryan Johnson did not do that. Like, he didn't do with the second movie. He didn't do any of that stuff. Like, he didn't give you anything in the movie except for like a couple cool fight scenes, but no real like maybe a little backstory on Kylo, which wasn't needed. Like, you got a backstory on like Kylo that you didn't need to have, and in my opinion, like, that wasn't necessary. So,
just random off topic. Well, it's kind of off topic. What does
I overloaded the ship's reactors.
What does Vader say to Luke?
This war is not over, my
When at the end when he
when he tells him,
Wait for the Jedi Council.
what does
This
he
is-
actually
this is,
say?
like, one of the most misquoted lines in all of Star Wars, actually.
But what do you remember him saying?
I think, like, my head is always just like, he says, Luke, I am your father, but I know that's not what he actually says.
I mean, not in the version in this universe, but or in this dimension.
there was a thing that we and you talked about that had this that discussed this, that everybody thinks that he says this but he really says this. Now I don't remember.
Mandela effect.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there's-
yeah. And now I don't remember. Now I don't even remember what he actually says.
No,
I think
but
he
I know
says-
what he says. I know what he says. He says, "No, Buzz, I am your father."
What?
That's not what he said, but I'm pretty sure that is what he currently says, though, is "No, Luke, I am your father."
Padawan.
Oh, so it is literally just the Zerg line. Okay.
Time for install weakling.
This whole part was really, really cool to me, by the way.
It's so emotional.
Yeah, it was just the whole Order 66 thing, like everything that just happened. Like
I
that
didn't.
was,
I didn't
Huh?
care about Cal's character at all until this part of the game.
yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it. Like, you don't really give a shit
Oh,
until you get to
okay.
this part, and you get to.
I'm over there
Wow.
apparently.
Yeah, that was fun.
This game is flawless with no glitches. Thanks, EA.
Absolutely.
You didn't know that? It's just
And you guys
it's
are
just
like,
bad
"Oh, he's
user
so
error."
bad at platforming." I'm sure that's all it is. It's not that this game is
Thanks.
not.
I mean, you're not good at platforming.
Well, no.
So, did we bring balance to the Force? That's the question.
It lives in Ray.
That's actually something that I was trying to figure out too, because there is a quote, it's what Anakin says when he's talking to Rey, which what was it? Bring balance like I did. Like, did you though?
Who are you really?
Yeah. Like, what defines balance? What's supposed to be happening?
Like, you apparently killed the Emperor, but for like a second. So, did you bring balance? But like, who is the chosen one? Was it always Anakin? Was it Anakin until Anakin died, and then now it's her? Like, who? But she's not born. She's born of a father, so she's not. So is Anakin still the chosen one, but went the wrong way, and she's
Who
the Force.
fucking- who
She's the
fucking
Force
knows at
correcting
this
itself.
point,
I
man?
mean, yeah. I mean,
I'm pretty sure the only person
we still have fucking questions. That's my point.
the only person that was bringing balance to the Force was Samuel L. Jackson
Yeah.
with his purple fucking lightsaber.
Right?
Yes.
They should have just brought him back. That would have been a
Yeah.
better movie.
Yeah, the rise of this motherfucker. That's the way. This is the way.
Oh, so Mandalorian. Let's go over this real quick.
I don't know
Because
how
I
much
had
time
said
we
it
have
before.
left.
Well, hold on, because there.
Well, hold on.
No. Seriously though,
No. For real.
the guy. The guy that I brought up before, that's in this movie, that's in The Mandalorian. I brought this up. I don't know if I actually brought it up in the episode, but I brought it up on any of the shows. But I brought it up with one of you guys in phone conversation or in conversation, that he's in the movies, but he's younger.
Which makes no sense in
And-
the timeline.
Which makes no sense in the timeline.
He's
Also,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. but
that's got to be it. Also, he dies in The Mandalorian, so it's got to be.
yeah.
That's why I didn't care, because he's just like, oh, I am Legion.
And I will teach you to
Yeah.
control the power.
I Am Legend, the zombie movie with Will Smith.
Actually, that was a great book. Anyway,
The movie was good too.
the movie was really good, but the book is so different.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I don't think I've ever been so emotionally attached to a dog that then died in a book.
Have you ever read Old Yeller?
No.
Okay.
Like,
So really, I
what you're
set
doing with
this
your
whole
free
episode.
time.
So really, I just set this whole episode up with you guys just to listen to fucking DaftVino rant for an hour. It's kind of
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was expecting. I was pretty sure he wasn't gonna like it, no matter what it was.
I mean, I wanted to like.
Yeah.
I wanted to like it so bad.
I don't know how I mean, I didn't expect to like it because I mean, you had the two previous movies. Like, how do we build off this? And
Time to go.
Here, I'm gonna ruin every single Star Wars movie for you guys. You ready?
Yeah.
Why don't any of the Jedi just turn off the lightsaber of the person they're fighting
I mean,
with the Force?
yeah,
There you go. Have fun. Have fun thinking about that one.
Powers beyond your
done.
control.
The entire series gone.
When you face one night
Wow.
of Dathomir, you face us all.
you suck.
There actually is a reason for it, but it's a Legends reason, so apparently, according to Disney, it doesn't exist.
God, I fucking love Disney and hate them at the same time.
Yeah,
I personally love what they did with the MCU. Hate what they did with Star Wars.
yeah. I think that's the big thing with it is like everybody wants like, oh, like I want them to like continue the Star Wars thing, and it's like, well, they literally got rid of the one person who would have been able to let them do that, so like
Which was super stupid. I mean, I'll still always go back to the fact that they
oh
should.
cool, look, my broken lightsaber is
what
working,
the fuck?
but it's stuck in my hilt. Flawless game, by the way.
What just happened?
This game is I love it. This game is so good and not broken at all. I love it.
Night sister. She raised the dead.
It is literally. The
I mean,
best.
I'll always like keep saying that if they would have let JJ do all three, that it would have ended up better. Like they should just cancel Last Jedi, scrap this movie, and just start back over. Just scrap 7 or 8 and 9, keep 7, and just let them go.
Yeah.
Like, think it could have been better, but doesn't matter.
Get us out of here.
Well,
I still think that 9 was the best, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, that it was the better of the 3. But
honestly, in my opinion, 9 was the best movie out of everything they've ever made. So I don't know what you're talking about.
fucking hate you. Wow. All right, so Swish and Perry just it's no longer. We're gonna. This is the last episode we're ever gonna do.
The Last Jedi. Yeah.
We're gonna go our separate ways now. Chris is gonna go back to streaming. I'm gonna go back to not doing anything.
Actually, I have some friends that would be very happy if that's what I did.
Notice he said back to.
Yeah,
Hal, you were only a child.
Yeah.
because I stopped streaming when we did all this.
No, you're going back to streaming. He's going back to not doing anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Hal, it's time I told you everything that happened to me.
I see where you're going with it.
They brought Shirley in the room.
Because I currently don't do
And when I
anything.
saw her eyes,
I didn't say that.
they showed me what I had caused. She was
It was strongly implied, but
Very strongly.
And I lost them.
Well,
anyway.
I think this is a nice place to end this episode.
Jesus Christ.
I swear to God.
I'm ashamed of
What?
myself.
Well, this is also the last video of the month, but I
Oh, yeah,
think
it is. Happy New Year.
yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. But Chris and I agreed that we are going to continue because we're so close to the end. We're going to continue, and this game is probably going to run into January.
At least a little
Every
bit.
Jedi faces.
I mean, are we going to just do it on a different day than our normal days and just pick up 2 other games? Just because we're not going to be, other than that, we're going to have the rest of the month with nothing.
Yeah. Well, we'll have. I'm sure we'll find something else to fill it with.
Okay.
Mainly,
I don't care.
my butthole and your dick. And yeah, there we go.
I hate
Jesus
you.
Christ.
Will always struggle.
I hate you just a little bit
But that
right now.
is the test.
Only a little
Man.
bit.
No, it's a lot.
the
It's a
choice
lot.
to keep fighting.
Y'all don't even invite me to the sex parties anymore. Not as.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. Let's go play some League.
Okay.
Faux shizzle.
Kayla, you guys.
Time I find out who
Okay, bye.
Kill you, bye.
Morty, I really like Swish and Perry, Morty. Swish is pretty cool, but that Perry guy, he's a fucking faggot. Morty.
That's the sound he makes
I wish I could just like force burps, but
when he's with his boyfriend.
yeah.
I mean,
oh. Well then.